guys, it's Beth. Today I'll be using this sunflower fabric from Walmart, this nautical bell from Dollar Tree, some felt, rope, and sunflowers to make a sunflower gnome. I started by removing the bell and painting the entire outside of this piece with black chalk paint. I just did one coat covering the entire outside. And this felt is from Dollar Tree, and it's really thin, so that's why I painted the one coat of black chalk paint. I cut a piece that's a little bit larger than the height of this. Used Tacky glue, which is also from Dollar Tree. Brushed on just one section to start with. Lined it up flush with the very top of this little bell, so it overhangs about an inch, inch and a half from the bottom, and just kept working in sections until I had it completely covered. After I had that completely glued down, I just trimmed up the excess felt. And then I flipped it upside down, and the part that was overhanging on the bottom, I just cut little slits all the way around. Put some tacky glue on the inside rim, brushed that on, and then pushed all those pieces down inside. And then I took a piece of my sunflower fabric. This is actually about half of the square from Walmart. I just trimmed it up so it was a little bit larger than the length around the bell. And then on the bottom section of it, I just folded a piece over and used fabric hot glue to glue that piece up, touching the rest of the fabric, so just so there's a little rim. And then I wrapped it around the top of my bell, and I made sure to make it nice and loose around the bell so I can fit the nose and things on it. I just kept trimming it up until I had the right size. Once I had the size down, I kind of just held it where I wanted it to close over the bell, and then just kept moving it till it was at an angle, and marked off the excess fabric I wanted to cut off. This piece will be on the inside. And then I used the fabric hot glue again to close the rimmed side where it'll be going over the bell. And then once I had that closed, I just kept this at an angle and hot glued that, or fabric hot glue, all the way closed, trimming up any excess at the top. Next, I'm going to be making a couple of braids, so I took a section of this nautical rope. It was maybe about 9 inches that I cut off, and opened up the rope, and then separated and even combed the rope. Once I had the amount I wanted for the braid, I just tied it off with some twine, taped down the part that was tied, and just braided that section and tied it off at the end with some twine as well. And then I took a small piece of that fabric again and ripped little sections and made a little bow at the bottom of the braid. After I made the bow, I just cut off the excess rope on the bottom, just leaving a small amount left over. And then I made one more of those. Next, I took the hat, and on the top of it, I kind of twisted it inward towards itself just so it came to a point, and tied that with some twine. And next I needed to trim up the braids. So I just tied the twine at the top of the braid where I wanted it and cut off the excess, leaving a small amount to be hot glued down above the twine. And then I'm going to be making some arms. So I take a piece of rope, and I end up having to redo it, but I'm just going to show you the process. These ones were too long. So what I did was took a piece of nautical rope and glued it with a piece of felt around it, leaving about an inch overhang on the end and a small overhang on the other end. The part that had a small piece hanging over, just glue that down. And then you're going to take a bead and hot glue that to the part that I had glued down. So this one has the hand, and then that other side had the excess felt. And then I took my bell that had the felt on it, hot glued down a large half round bead, hot glued the braids right next to the nose, and these are the new arms I made. So they're just made the same way, just a smaller piece of rope. It was about 3 inches maybe. So what I do is take the part that has the excess felt on it and glue that to the side. And then just make sure they line up and glue the other side down. Next, I take some fiber fill and just fill the hat as, full as I wanted it. And I didn't go too heavy on the top because I'll be wanting to fold it over. Once I have it filled, I add the hat on top, making sure it goes over the nose and the braids. And then I hot glue the hat into place with a small amount of hot glue on the top of the nose, and then just pull the hat right back over there. Next, I take this burlap flower, which was from Dollar Tree, cut the top piece from it, the centerpiece, and take this sunflower and hot glue it to the center of that flower. And then I fold down my hat and hot glue that flower right to the tip of the hat. And then I want it to stay into place, so I use a small amount of hot glue and glue the tip of the hat to the bigger part of the hat. And then the sunflowers come with wires on them, so I just wrapped that wire around itself until it made a flat circle. Put some hot glue on one of the hands, put that flat circle wire right on the hand, put some more hot glue, and then just attached those hands together on the flower. And that is it. I think it turned out so cute. Thank you guys so much for watching.